I remember the very first dish that I served Madiba.
What was the review afterwards? Did he say a few words to you?
Thank you.
Andile, do you have a question for Marissa?
Don't hold back, because I can see you guys became friends over the last hour.
This is bribery.
Marissa's just offering some chocolate to Andile.
This is bribery.
Why are they all batter basted? Or are they not?
Have you ever tasted something without batter?
Well, we're back again. Another episode of What's the Difference, a Woolies podcast. My name is Sibongile Mafu. I am with my distinguished co-host who's wearing a blazer today, Steve Steinfeld.
I am indeed, Sibs. As you know, this is the podcast where we talk to incredible people about the differences that make them unique. And when I have my blazer on, it's someone extra special.
Extra special. I hope you're talking about me.
Always. Speaking of extra special, Sibs, your social calendar has been booming lately.
I love saying yes to events because I know how much it takes to put on a great event.
Exactly.
And I want to grace them with my presence.
100%.
And I say yes to Cape Town events. You say yes to global events.
I do indeed. I'm very lucky.
You've been traveling.
Yeah.
What is the best place you've visited so far this year?
Copenhagen was pretty incredible. I mean, it's one of the world's culinary capitals, incredible eating, fantastic chefs. I was there for a global chef conference, so I met some amazing people. But yeah, speaking of international and national, let's take it back to some matters of national importance. Who is our guest today?
Absolutely. Today's guest is someone you might be familiar with because he's not only cooked for two of South Africa's most iconic leaders, but has a chef career that has spanned 30 years. He's basically seen it all on the food scene, and he is someone who advocates for African cuisine. A very warm welcome to Chef Andile Somdaka.
Thank you, ma'am.
Molo Puti.
Molo, does it all right?
You're right. Nice to have you at our table. I'll teach you a bit of Xhosa down the line. Welcome to What's the Difference?
No, thank you very much, man. I'm so pleased, so grateful to be here.
And you know, before we get into it with our guests, we like to snack and yap.
Sure.
We want to get into all of your secrets. And I'm not surprised that one of your favorite snacks is nyama chips.
Oh, wow.
And we've got that for you today. I've also brought one of my favorite snacks, which is the Chuckles peanut flavor, plot twist.
And my favorite snacks.
The original Chuckles.
The original Chuckles, yeah. I'm a purist, what can I say?
You are more than welcome to dig in. The people love it when we are crunching and eating on the podcast.
Lovely, lovely.
So please, help
this
yourself.
I'm keen to
paradise for
try
me,
the cheese and yam and chips.
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Let's get a little bit personal. Your childhood. I mean, you've been in the game for a long time, but at some point, Andile was a little boy. And if you can cast your mind back, what are your earliest childhood memories and food memories?
You know, I'll tell you, Smosh, when I was a young man, I was quite lucky. You know, Steve, my parents, I'm the last born at home. My parents had their issues. We were born in Guguletu, had to be taken to the Eastern Cape. That, for me, was the most incredible part of my life as a young man. In Cape Town, there's fish and chips, food and everything. In Eastern Cape, there's rural food that don't exist in the city. I was introduced to that food.
You were eating well in the Eastern Cape?
Yeah. You know, your plant-based vegetable diet and the meat, you'll eat it once a year. For me, that life that I actually was introduced to was something that I cherish up until today. I remember I was hosting some American guests at my restaurant. I gave them the journey of my lifetime.
Amazing.
As a young man, we used to look for, the ground nuts. In the Xhosa zibiza inqoba. Yeah. So we couldn't get them in Johannesburg. But then because I still remember the flavors, how it tasted, I took sweet potato, raw, cut it into small little cubes. I use a Parisian scoop to get it as balls. And then I served them that as a recollection of my childhood when I was eating those ground nuts.
It's your story.
And I mean, I think that's so amazing because a lot of the time you say to chefs, you know, it's very easy to cook with luxury ingredients. It's very easy to cook with meat.
Yeah.
But to cook with vegetables and stuff like mfino and all of that, it's firstly, it's rising in popularity, but it's a lot more creative.
Yeah.
Are you finding you're having a lot more fun now with those type of ingredients?
Basically, Steve, our indigenous foods, Southern African foods, is predominantly plant-based. It's not meat. Meat is, you can find meat everywhere around the world. You can get hard-boiled chicken, the farm chicken, everywhere. It's not, how it becomes a South African dish is how we cook it. The twist that we put in it, that's what makes it a South African. So when it comes to plant-based, I'm in paradise. Yeah. I mean, I remember I brought some wild melon, It's called Karoo melon.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of names, in fact, and it's like eggplant. Eggplant has got too many names.
Yes.
I don't want to mention the African thing. Those are the things that we owe, as chefs and people who have a background of the village, as you have asked me. Mm-hmm. It's important for us to introduce these dishes to people who live in the cities. Yeah. They don't even know that they exist.
And when you were growing up, I mean, obviously Eastern Cape was a big part that formed, your relationship with food and cooking.
When I was 12, 13 years old at home here in Cape Town, my older sister, remember I'm a last born.
Mm-hmm. As am I.
Oh, yeah. Lovely.
We have that in common. Here. Love for food and last born. Some call us a bit problematic sometimes.
Yeah. Don't mind them.
I am the eldest. I would call you quite problematic.
Yeah. So they actually started teaching me how to cook simple dishes at home. And we consumed that with damasi. So I mastered that thing at the age of 11, 12 years old. And I graduated to Ukova, how to make the dough. And then I graduated to how to make the bread. And actually, these people, they were not even aware that we're actually molding a chef here. I was also not aware. So cooking for me started around 11, 12 years old.
So kind of mastering, traditional Xhosa dishes and being confident in the kitchen, being influenced by your sisters. Without that experience, you wouldn't be sitting here today.
I wouldn't have been here, I promise you. That background of my grandmother, my mother's mom, and my older sisters. And I always, when I'm on television, I always try to talk to them in those shows. I mention their names, because they actually made me to what I am today. I owe it to them.
And I think that's often the case. I think the matriarchs of our families are often the culinary gatekeepers. They hold the recipes, they hold the techniques that get passed down through generations. And I think to learn from them is always
I like what you just said. I mean, the dishes that we cook today, I may have been, as a chef, 36 years. I don't own those recipes. They are passed through word of mouth, through generations.
And when your family sees how you kind of, create through food and they see, your menu and what you've done with your restaurant, what do they say? Do they say, hey, why did you just keep this simple? Why are you doing too much with this? Or are they very supportive and very excited?
African gastronomy is all about that. You take the humble beginning dishes, the simple dishes, you elevate them to the level of a restaurant or hotel. And if you can do that with those basic dishes, as I sometimes do talk to people, I say to them, when people come from outside South Africa, they want amakwenya, they want water plumage, they want things that grow here in South Africa, in Cape Town, in your Transvaal, your Gauteng. There are things that grow there, you will never find them in Cape Town. Yeah. I made mfino for the guys that were visiting me. I made pumpkin leaves. I mixed the pumpkin leaves with pumpkin seeds, chai seeds, and flax seeds. And I had to put sunflower seeds also, and I roasted them. And I was using bone marrow to give it a chef's flavor, but yet indigenous food.
And that's
no visitors allowed. You shut the front door.
I think you touched on a really interesting point there, is that we talk about African gastronomy, but our country is so diverse. Our cultures are so diverse. When it comes to African cuisine, we're talking about actually many cuisines. We're not just talking about one.
In fact, if you look at the history of rural South African food, is very, very close to African's food. There's hardly any difference. It's exactly almost the same.
And it goes back to your point. You're tasting the land.
Yes.
You are, creating food that has been given to you by Mother Nature.
We are so lucky to be in South Africa, I promise you.
And to have such an abundance of ingredients all year round. I mean, when it's cold and frozen, you can't grow anything.
The sunshine tea that we have, we're truly blessed.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, just taking a step further than childhood is you obviously had the privilege of cooking for Madibo. What was it like getting that first phone call? How does that happen? What do you feel? I mean, it must be a whole range of emotions and also quite a lot of pressure.
And in the time when South Africa was, going through so much and such a massive transition, how important is the personal chef to
the president?
To the president.
I actually, to be honest with you guys, I never realized how big that thing that I was doing there until I left the job. I was just, had my head down, I was just a chef and cooking for the man.
Yeah.
Enjoy your breakfast, Mr. President. Enjoy your lunch, Mr. President. Enjoy your dinner. I was just doing my work.
And that's what I wanted to ask you, because experiencing that of cooking for a global leader, did you kind of treat it as cooking for how you would anyone else, which is probably the best way to go about things?
When you do your thing, when you're at your best, everything else becomes easy. So that's why whatever happened to me, I don't know who actually told me to do what I did. I was just doing the work. And I tried to impress every dish that I had to go out there. I tried to impress.
And what was the food landscape in South Africa back then? I mean, you've been at this now for 36 years.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot more than many chefs, working today. What was it like during that time?
Our rural food has not been celebrated. Our African food, our South African, even Portuguese South African food, even Indian South African food has not been celebrated in the world. We are not doing enough justice to promote our own South African food. And unfortunately, the hotels were run predominantly by people who are coming from other continents. Were in charge, were general managers of the hotels. And it's still the case even today. But quietly, there are some African restaurants popping up. South African indigenous food restaurants are popping up. Some of the ingredients that are raised that you find in Emakaya are quietly making waves and making moves into the main restaurants in South Africa. And we're still going to be seeing them at eat-out competitions. And that's what we want. That's what we are actually advocating. We want us to, as South Africans, to be united behind food and push the narrative. And luckily, sorry to dwell a lot. I'm seeing
very interested.
I'm seeing some movements with WOOLWORTHS.
Yes, which we've spoken about on this podcast. And I know Woolies will be very happy that you're giving them a round of applause because they do a lot of work to get that right.
Seeing some movements, great movements.
Because also it is a nurturing of culture and tradition. It's a championing of, what we do well. And whether it's food or art in itself, clothes, whatever the case may be, you should have it at the forefront.
And as you say, I think if we go back 15 years ago to now even on fine dining menus, we're seeing amadumbe, we're seeing nam, we're seeing mfino, we're seeing all these different indigenous local ingredients. But that wasn't the case 15 years ago. So I imagine when you were cooking, was it still very Eurocentric?
Too much, yeah.
Yeah?
Too much, too much. And it's still the case up until today. Yeah. Because of the chefs who tell you, we have a huge crowd. I mean, when it makes simple sense, when you see the crowd who's coming, you see the guest list, okay, I'm dealing with this type of guests that are, so I need to plan the food according to them because we want to impress them. But then you get chefs who are your senior chefs in the kitchen who will tell you, no, make fricadelles, make this, make that, contrary to what these people eat. And you just cut something that we really need to do something to fix.
I mean, what if we can go, and it's not too personal, what did you used to cook back in the day? Like, what were you cooking for the president?
Chicken was on the menu. He was eating almost everything.
Yeah.
But I had to watch the dishes that I used to cook for him. I was in collaboration with the household lady. I don't know if you guys know Sister Leswa. She was running the household. And then I was in the official resident here in Rondebosch. I remember the very first dish that I served Madiba.
What was
it?
And I'm still going to recreate that. The day I write a book, I'm still going to recreate that.
Oh, you holding that close to your chest?
No, we can share it.
We can share it?
We can share it, yeah.
What was it?
It was a fruit platter. That was the very first dish I did, I did for him. And the culture of welcoming the president, all of us as household staff were to go to the entrance and go and give him the welcome. Every time he comes, we have to welcome him. So we went through that. The heart is pounding. And the platter was already half done. And then he went to the study upstairs. And then I remember that day Bishop Tutu was with him. And I went to the kitchen to finish up my platter. Grapes, mignola, and they were nectarines, but I had to remove the pip.
Okay.
And I served Imperial sparkling water.
You were like, this has to be the best fruit platter I've ever
had to create.
Created in my life.
So, and obviously with my garnish, because I was very creative as a young chef. And so I did that platter and I served it to him. That was my very first dish I served him.
What was the review afterwards? Did he say a few words to you?
Thank you.
And I mean, from one former president to another, you also served as a personal chef for Mr. Thabo Mbeki. At also a very interesting time, in South Africa. Do you remember what you made for him the first time you...
I served him a couple of times while he was a deputy president.
Okay.
So this kind
So
of...
you were used to him?
Yeah, I was used to him. and I tell you, we were so lucky to have Nelson Mandela as the president of South Africa in 1994. We were very, very lucky.
That's incredible. And I mean, you speak of cooking for these giants of South Africa's political scene. And I think food is something that is very political. What did you learn about food diplomacy or the role food plays in those situations when you were cooking for these people?
There was still stigma towards our food then. And even now, there's still and we're trying to destigmatize it. I mean, as I said, everywhere I go, I wear the chef jacket. We have chefs who still put jacket on top of the chef jacket because of their embarrassed being chefs. And we're trying to destigmatize that. Right now, I remember when I traveled to Ukraine, 2019, I was carrying something that is a stigma in South Africa. Amagonya, Xhosa, mopane worms. And I took a risk to do that. But when we got there in Ukraine, this guy actually had a dish where there were raw, dried bees, the bees, honeybee, that were part of the dish that we were eating. So it made sense for me to bring these worms from South Africa that are delicacy to South African cuisine. There's those problems at the moment, and even then there were huge problems. But we have to work and try to get this thing out of the stigma. And no one is going to change it except ourselves.
Of course. And I think it's nice to see it slowly happening. I think there are young chefs who are starting to push those boundaries and be less afraid to embrace.
I mean, I'm just surprised you got mopane worms through security.
Customs.
Customs.
Well, talking about all innovation in food and the changes in our culinary landscape, I think now's a great time to bring in our WOOLWORTHS guest.
She works in product development at Woolies Food. A very warm welcome to Marissa Monroe. Step on into our set, Marissa.
Yeah, welcome, Marissa.
Welcome, Steve. Hello, Andile.
Hello,
Marissa's
There's a present for you.
Oh, is this mine?
It's yours indeed.
Giant Woolies gift
so
bag.
good and so heavy.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
You can check that in at the airport when you go back to Johannesburg. Marissa, welcome.
Thank you.
One of my favorite things are people's job titles. And I think at Woolies,
They do the most.
they do the absolute most. So please give us your official job title at Woolies.
I believe the title is the Chief Product Development and Direction Officer.
Fantastic.
That's a very long title for somebody who's just having fun with food.
Which is what we love here at What's the Difference.
Okay.
So
Can work for me?
give us a brief rundown of what you do every day.
Okay, we talk about product development. Obviously, it's in the foods business. I suppose my biggest passion is people development because we can only do product development through people. So I'm very passionate about investing my time, my energy, and reinvesting and upskilling the next generation of whoever and whatever they want to become in this lovely world of food.
And you love problems. You love problems. And I say that with the idea that solving consumer problems is your main thing. That's what gets you up in the morning, right?
I'm having a response here because it is one of my sayings. I do say, let's fall in love with our customers' problems. When you think about what falling in love means, it's a level of obsession, right? So if you say you fall in love with their problems, it means you're going to dedicate every awake minute to try and solve for it. That's such a privilege.
Let's fall in love with our customers' problems. I like that.
I mean, that's super interesting. And I guess throughout that, you taste a whole lot of different products and different ingredients. And I know with WOOLWORTHS going into the heritage side of things, you must have, the opportunities are now even greater than they were before. I believe you have a mopane worm story too.
I do indeed. Listen, I'm a farm girl, right? So I grew up on a farm in Limpopo. And you can never take the farm girl out of a girl. I'm in a city now, but people don't identify with me as a farm
girl. What about in Limpopo, you?
Louis Trichardt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
And Mbeki these days, 100 kilometers before the border to Zimbabwe. I grew up in a little avocado farm.
Yeah.
You were blessed.
Yeah.
Avo's big and juicy.
Beautiful.
Oh,
beautiful
lovely.
avos.
Do we find them in Woolworths now?
We don't. Sadly, we don't. But so living so close to the farm and being so dependent on, on weather, nature, you start to look at nature to give you lots of interesting cues.
Absolutely.
The flying ants was just one of the interesting things that I sort of got used to eating when you're a farm girl, and of course the masonjas, the mopane worms. I won't say that they're my favorite though.
Okay.
But I have given it a try. My philosophy to food is try everything at least once.
Me and you both.
Best way to go about
At
that.
least once.
So the food scientist in you was that little girl, curious about food, trying everything?
Yeah, I suppose, you know what, I think food is one part art. A chef in particular would appreciate that, and one part the science, So it was that art and that creative expression that I felt that I could just freely express myself through food. My mom was very structured, so she didn't want chaos in the kitchen. Kind of like, kids get out so I can get on with doing what I need to do. And my dad had a different philosophy. He's like, come help, break the food if you need, make a mess. Taste a variety of things. Some, you like, and some you don't, but exposed to a variety of textures and flavors from a young age. I suppose when I then realized this was not so much necessarily what I wanted to do as a career, but certainly food as a passion is something I discovered at a very young age. There in the kitchen with my dad. And in fact, I don't know if you grow up being familiar with leserskring. But it was almost like a subscription model of ordering books in.
Yeah.
And in our family, we would take turns. So mom a turn, dad a turn, brother a turn, me a turn.
Same.
And then we start again. And my choice at the age of 5 was a recipe book. I couldn't read it. I looked at the pictures and I figured how to cook from it. Yeah. So there's this one side of cooking and food that's the artist, that's that creative expression. When you sort of imagine what is it that you can do differently with flavors? What's it that you can do differently with ingredients? And then the science overlay tells you, I suppose that's when you lean into the curiosity that if this, then what that? Why does this happen like that? And science has got the answers to all of those things.
I have a question for all three of you because you share something in common. There's a viral saying that a lot of people have been repeating, don't love your job your love, which, I understood that saying. It was essentially making what you're passionate about your career, which, all of you have. Food, Steve is a food journalist, food scientist, chef. There's a balance of kind of the art and the science, and a lot of people would say that's actually when the passion dies, because now you're clocking in to do a thing that you love, but there's a career element, a business element. Maybe, Marissa, you could kind of answer how you keep that balance of, we've got to make target and we've got to please our customers, but I've got to still love this thing that I fell in love with as a little girl.
I think, honestly, the only thing I don't love about my job is the fact that I need to sit in traffic to get to it. But that's also sometimes not the worst thing, because you sort of need that little bit of time in the traffic to reflect. Again, back to the big part of my job that I'm so passionate about, which is the leadership and the people development part of it. You've got to be so mindful about what you say, how you show up, and that time to decompress in traffic, as frustrating as it can sometimes be, it's so valuable. But there's absolutely nothing else about my job that I don't like. I mean, I do need that pressure of deadlines, of more run-of-the-mill of a corporate structure to get me going. Otherwise, I can also sit on the same topic forever and romanticize and philosophize about it forever. So I kind of do need that drumbeat to keep things going.
And for you, Andile, I mean, your love for food obviously goes back to when you were a little boy, but now that your business is food, do you find that you struggle to kind of keep the creativity going because you must now show up in a very specific way every day?
People get bored repeating the same thing over and over again. So us as chefs, we have to be creative. As I was saying, that when you do something, you are rather do it right or don't do it. While you're creating menus, you keep a menu for 6 months. 6 months later, you introduce a new menu. What you then do is you look at what kept you going, what's popular in your restaurant, and you keep those things and then you reintroduce new things. Because if people want something new. We're going to Chef Andile's restaurant, Eziko restaurant, because of there is this tongue. People come for this specific dish. You can't lose that when you are creating a new menu. And people want new things also, and people also want you to carry some of the things that were there. And the other thing is also that is important is when you were a little girl, you grew up eating this thing. When you were a little man, you grew up eating this thing. When you create a restaurant, you need to keep that consistency because we don't want to lose people. Because we want to create a home away from home environment in your restaurant.
Right.
Because of an experience.
And I mean, you spoke about your restaurant, Eziko, but then there's also the catering
Yes.
side of things. Kind of a little bit different. Do you move differently in terms of how you approach both those businesses?
This is how whole thing started. We were doing catering functions only. And people started enjoying the food that we were actually providing. And they kept on asking me, where can we get this food? You really need to create a place where we can get this food. That's how the restaurant was born. And funny enough, the restaurant has taken more limelight than the catering. Yeah, so that's how this whole thing started.
Yeah, and Steve, as someone who's jobbed their love of yourself, how do you keep your passion going?
I always say, if you find something you love, you will never not work a day in your life.
There you go.
Because if it's a passion, whether you're on holiday, I'm going to go eat at restaurants anyway.
Yeah.
So you kind of live your job, and I think that's what's quite interesting. But
it's easy to wake up in the morning, even on the hard days, right? Because you are doing something that means so much.
We're very passionate. We're very, very passionate with what we're doing.
And for you to take customer feedback, I mean, you took the feedback from people you worked with in your catering environment.
Yeah.
It turned into a restaurant.
Yes.
For you, Marissa, how much of our feedback are you taking there into the lab to cook up something that we'll love?
That's what keeps us busy. If we want to keep our customers happy, same I suppose with guests in a restaurant, got to serve them what they love. And if they're not satisfied with something, we're very fortunate. They're very vocal about that. But one has to then interpret what exactly is the root cause of it, understand where you need to fix what. But that is really the gift of feedback when your customers tell you they're not happy about something.
That's what made Woolworths to be what they are now.
Yeah.
They collected their feedback and they made good use of it.
And you've been there 26 years.
26 years.
Which is a good run, which means you've seen it all. And
You'll be surprised.
Hey? I mean, we want to get that peek behind the curtain. I mean, you really have seen the business evolve and, what you offer to customers evolve. Tell us a little bit about that 26-year journey and how the landscape that you're working in has changed.
Look, 26 years, it does sound like a very long time. But again, like when you're having fun, time does fly. For me, the biggest shift I've seen over the last few years is not so much what's happening on the plate as much as how people access it. So if you think the accelerant of tech and digital, people used to go to markets, shops, the merchant, the shopkeeper, they're the hero, that's how people interact, get the shop, go home. But now that you can go and shop from the palm of your hand, and have food coming to your door. It's a bit of a game changer, right? So that's really challenged how, almost like the benchmark of quality that we even compete against. Because in the past, you're like, your product needs to be as good as or better than most other products that's on a retail shelf. Now our product must be as good as or better than Andile's product from the restaurant. So there's a very different benchmark to freshness.
That's so interesting.
To taste. Because you can you produce, smaller batch, 10, 15 portions for a stock, as an example.
Shift,
And then when you talk about bigger volumes in commercial context, it's much bigger. But we want that same eating quality because our customer can now compete with exactly that same dish for dinner. So that's created a very, very exciting but very different challenge for us.
If it was up to Chef Andile, we'd all be eating goat.
Yes.
Because when we Google your name on Beyonce's internet, the first 5 things that come up is your love for goat, sir. Perhaps you can walk us through your passion because, we speak about, championing so many ingredients and different types of food, but you have a specific one that you are hyper obsessed with.
What is it about goat that you love so much?
This thing of traveling to some countries, but in particular in Africa and Middle East, in some countries there's no lamb. They consume goat only.
Okay.
And they've produced some of the world-class quality dishes out of the product. we have this product in South Africa and we're not making the best out of it. Less cholesterol, it's got nice gamey flavors in it. It's very healthy. You give it to the chef's hands, I will mesmerize you. I'll produce nice dishes out of it.
Magic.
Yes. So I was invited, I started talking about the product a lot. Then I got invited by the University of Pretoria to come and talk about the product and promote the product because of it's a good thing to have. And I can't wait the day my neighbors here carry the product.
They'll catch on soon enough.
Carry the product.
Yeah.
But Andile, when you are preaching the gospel of the goat,
Yes.
are you finding that there's pushback from people? Are you maybe too ahead
people,
of the game? Are you maybe too far into the future?
I try to go with them. There are people also that I need to carry. No, we can't have this. It will never succeed in the Eastern Cape. It will never succeed in KZN. No. It's going to happen in our lifetime, I tell them. The trouble is the market is actually very limited.
Yeah.
There is now foreign people who live in South Africa which are also contributing into goat consumption. We have people from West Africa, we have people from East Africa who live in South Africa. We have people from Middle East, Pakistan and India who live in South Africa. They consume the product. Why can't we then just marry the product with what is already existing in the market? Yeah. And try to help, because without having industry chefs behind these products, they're not going to take off.
Yeah, if you have Andile's goat, you won't go back.
Yeah, we're going to get some recipes, please.
Yeah. No. I've got a lot of lekker recipes here.
Marissa, your job, half of it is the future of food. Will we see goat?
Oh, well, we can never say never, right? 2 years ago, maybe, if you asked me that about tripe, I would have said probably not, because we had our own challenges with how we produce that safely in a large-scale production. And we've got tripe on the shelves now.
Yeah. Yes, you do.
So that's why I'm saying to you, we can never say never.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of goat myself.
Yeah.
I've had it on some restaurant menus in South Africa. Delicious.
It can be absolutely beautiful.
But I want to say that you often wonder what is this interplay between restaurants and retail, right?
Yes.
I make this analogy of saying, like, in fashion retail, you look at the catwalks to indicate where we're going next. That is what we do when we look at restaurants. They really are the catwalks for food. That's where we pick up the early trends. So don't underestimate what happens on your menus in the restaurant industry and how that can shape retail and in return our ambition of changing the way South Africa eats.
Exactly.
We understand our responsibility and how we can play a role there. But you set the base for that.
And on that note, I think it's time for us to do the quick fire.
Should we do some quick fire questions?
You guys are very good at your jobs and you think deeply about the work that you do. We request that you do not think too deeply with these questions. You answer the first thing that comes to mind. Yeah, and I know you have a tendency to be a bit messy and we want you to be messy with these questions, okay? I'll ask the question and then Andile, your answer, then Marissa, yours. All right? Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
Sweet.
One ingredient you can't live without.
Oregano. Dry and wild oregano.
Interesting.
Onions.
These are very foodie answers.
Yes.
Ooh. Most underrated South African dish. I think we know your answer already.
Yeah.
Let's say
Sampan beans.
Flood twist.
With goat.
Oh, definitely with goat. With goat. Yeah.
Underrated. Bean soup.
Kitchen music, when you are creating incredible dishes. Amapiano or jazz?
Amapiano, definitely.
Jazz.
How are you going to work fast?
There's some fast-paced jazz.
Braai, potjie, or kotas.
Braai.
Yeah.
Braai.
Oh, this one is interesting, especially for you, chef.
Yeah.
Hot sauce, love it or leave it?
Love it.
Love it.
Love
Love it.
Love it. Eat with your hands or knife and fork forever?
Hands.
Hands. Goat curry or goat stew?
Both. There's a goat. Yeah.
And for you, Marissa?
Goat curry.
Goat curry. And one food trend you'd ban immediately, chef?
I would throw in here.
I go so long.
There's
Go for
snakes.
it.
Marissa's like, I actually have an answer immediately.
Yeah, there's snakes also, but again, they are consumed by other people, and I've got that problem of loving to respect other people's cultures.
Of course,
You know, other people got cultures for a reason. You know, we eat odd things.
Yeah. And you, Marissa?
Foams.
For the foams, steam the foams.
In a restaurant setting, dry ice for me. The dry ice is, no.
Andile, no offending cultures with foam, I think, universally.
I think I'm with Marissa there. I just don't understand, but also in large scale, I respect people. Because of the people who are creating the foam, they go out of the way.
I mean, science, art.
Yeah, they go out of the way to create these things, and I can't. I'll be bashed by my chefs there.
Yeah.
And I've got a final one that I'm just interested in hearing your answer based on something you said is there any South African restaurant you've been to at the moment that you think is leading the charge when it comes to progress or inspiring what you put in to Woolworths?
I'm probably going to have to give a very diplomatic answer on that one. Is that okay?
Sure.
And I'm saying that from a perspective of having traveled, like many of you have, and really coming back to this country every single time and appreciating what we do in the food scene. Yeah, and then oftentimes the restaurateurs who you compliment will say, but we've got it easy in this country, we've got all of this beautiful wine and we've got access to such beautiful produce. But I think every restaurateur wakes up in the morning, or chef wakes up in the morning and have their own vision and mission and dream. And, they express that through food on the plate. And I think absolutely high five and kudos to all of them.
Very diplomatic and very well said.
Absolutely. And then, thank you to the both of you, Andile and Marissa. Make sure you visit Eziko in Johannesburg. You guys are doing pretty okay over there, hey?
I was about to say, the restaurant that is the most important and that I love so much, that I could eat any day, is my restaurant.
Is your restaurant?
Fantastic, as it should be.
That's the endorsement.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because of we're loyal to indigenous products of South Africa. We are also, because of the rural farming, is not going to prosper if we're not taking their product and put them into the limelight and introduce to the world.
Thank you so much, Chef. Yeah. And thank you, Marissa. We've learned so much.
I think before we go, it's getting a bit chilly in here, Sims.
I was almost going to let Marissa off the hook because I was enjoying the chat so much. Oh, no, you're right. Marissa, your job is not done, actually. We're not saying goodbye.
By the way.
Thank goodness Steve, the prefect, stepped in.
Sorry, I had to do my job here.
Please, okay.
Do you know the cold seat is where we ask our Woolies guests a super challenging question? I'm just going to grab these over here while we do that.
You only get a chuckle if you get it right, Marissa.
Okay.
Why does Woolies still sell chuckles if they want SA to eat healthier?
Okay, so can Andile answer that?
Very nice.
I spoke earlier about the fact that we believe our customers should have choice, right? Now, I was the trading head in the business when we made that bold decision to move sweeties outside of our queuing system. And the reason for that is because in that very moment, we didn't give customers the choice. You kind of like force down a queue, you can't turn left or right, kids were having tantrums, and there was just a plethora of sweet, sugary items around them. So when somebody wants to indulge and have a sweet treat, we believe they should be able to make the choice to do so.
Absolutely.
But then our cocoa is responsibly sourced. So we do go, even in that indulgent little treat, the extra mile to ensure we develop with the best interest of communities, planet, animals, and people in mind. So you have your chuckle with zero guilt, please.
Fair enough. Well, I will do that.
I have a question that I hope you'll be able to answer. The Woolies rotisserie chickens.
Yes.
They're cooked, very popular. Almost kind of, people are going feral over them. How many do you sell in a month? Because truly, it is keeping South Africa alive.
Yes, it has almost like a cultish following.
Very much so.
Exact quantity, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, millions, doesn't really matter. But I'll tell you what, I think without exception, people will tell me, I shop around here and there and whatnot for different foods, but I only ever buy my chicken from Woolies. And you go, okay, people are very clear about that. And when you ask, why is that? They're not always so clear.
Yeah.
So would you be interested in a short story around what makes Woolies chicken different?
I think that is the intel that we started this podcast for.
If I can throw in another question while you're answering that is, why are they all batter basted? Or are they not?
Have you ever tasted something without batter?
Good answer.
That's the answer. Actually, the difference of our Woolies chicken goes back to around the year 2000. Around about then, there was an outbreak of mad cow's disease, okay? And consumers, rightfully so, started to ask all sorts of questions around what goes into the diet of the animals that they eat, chicken in this particular instance. And it still is pretty much a norm in many industries still to formulate animal feed that has got a component of animal byproduct in. Yeah. In 2000, we made the decision, and you'll know this sort of loose sentiment going around, Woolies chickens don't eat their friends, right? So it was because right then we made the decision that our chickens will only forage off a plant-based diet. So legumes and grains and that sort of thing. Legumes obviously gives you a little bit more protein from the pea and the soy, maize, etc., seeds, whatnot in the mix. It is a slightly more expensive diet, so 4 to 5% more on input costs than how industry would farm. The second thing is we appreciate after the animal is slaughtered, there's stuff we can do differently, right? The first thing is animal gets slaughtered, it's at body temperature, 37 degrees. So again, industry norm typically goes into cold water to chill it down, not with Woolies. The issue is with that water bath, you pick up more water, right? In the region of 10%. So you pay for something that 10% of the weight of the final product is actually just water. With the Woolies chickens, we air chill. So that process takes almost double the time for the temperature to come down. Now, what does time mean in this context? More energy, it takes a little bit longer, so there's another input cost. But you don't have that extra water absorption, which often people then see in the cookout, right? You wonder why other chickens sometimes leave all of this cookout in the pan. So that's how we would chill the chicken. Then, of course, there's different ways we would trim. Now, you know, if we give you a lot of bone in your portions that you don't need, then you've paid for that bone. And there's extra skin around the neck, that extra flap, we trim that off. Extra fat, we trim that off. So there's quite a bit of yield loss, even in just how we trim. That's different to how industry necessarily does. But for that, you would obviously then pay for something that you can mostly eat on the other end of it. And then throughout all of this, of course, we maintain very high hygiene standards and a cold chain so that the product can last a little bit longer in your fridge as well because of that adherence to the standards. So, when people go, I just buy my chicken, I'm not sure why I only buy it from Woolies. I think it's important for people to appreciate there's all that care that goes in, from how the animal is fed to how it is treated. And of course, a big part of what makes the chicken breast in particular different to the industry is that we mature on the bone. So that chicken breast stays on the bone for at least 12 to 24 hours. What happens then in that rigor mortis process is the fibers, they relax. You know what happens with any muscle. It contracts and it's dry, and you don't have that tender succulence. But because we mature on the bone for at least 12 to 24 hours before we debone, you get that succulent breast. So it's almost probably unnecessary to still butter brine it because the raw material is that good. But obviously a rotisserie chicken is just so delicious with that butter brine.
Not easy to replicate then, clearly, which is why you're leading in the rotisserie chicken market.
You've created a status.
Yeah, that's and the work that goes behind the scenes, which is tough to copy.
100%.
Thank you, Marissa, for that.
You're welcome.
For that class, for that education. Yeah.
Andile, do you have a question for Marissa?
Don't hold back, because I can see you guys became friends over the last hour.
This is bribery.
Marissa's just offering some chocolate to Andile.
This is bribery. I just want to say to you guys, this is actually very nice.
Those are the peanut chuckles.
You've started introducing some of the South African food into your food offering, and we kind of welcome that. How well are your Magonyas doing?
I'm listening carefully to your question. You're saying we kind of welcome that. And there's something in that kind of, which I want to respond to. When we step into a space where we think, I'm not say we think, we interpret, we assume, we've got a right to show up in people's everyday and special moments and become more cultural relevant, because not all of our customers look like me. Not all our customers have the background I have, right? We are a beautifully diverse country. You kind of step into that space with a level of sensitivity. It's like, they say they want me to go there, but do they really? And if I do, how far do I push it? And when does it borderline into appropriation, cultural appropriation? So it was always such a sensitive space for us to navigate. If we were not scared, we would have done this long time ago. But it was about holding a space and saying to my product developers and everybody who believed in it, let's go there, but we'll do so in a very considered, very sensitive, and a very respectful way. Okay. And so it isn't about me standing there and go for amangwenya, go for the amadumbe or whatever it is, the Koos sisters, the Faluda. We created a team of people who represent this beautifully diverse country of ours, different religions, different age groups, different cultural contexts. And as a team, we tackled this lovely opportunity. And so I'd like to think we get it more right than wrong. But I would love also for all South Africans to know we do this with the greatest of respect and humility.
Yeah, so the reason why I'm asking that question, as restaurant people, particularly me who's producing some of the dishes that you have in your offering, people, they give me feedback. I am not Woolworths, but they give me the feedback.
Yes.
As a word of advice, it would be actually very, very good if you can work with industry chefs.
Right.
Because we want you to do well. And if you can correct one or two things, you will have something very, very, very special going on. Just have a look at that with total respect of people who are actually sit into laboratories and studios and develop these dishes with total respect to them. One thing that made Woolies to be where they are today is they take constructive criticism.
And
Woolies,
they collaborate as well.
To me, Woolies is the best food outlet in South Africa.
And I think in that pursuit of ongoing excellence, there's always an opportunity to explore where opportunities for collaboration like that exist. So thanks for putting that on the table. Feedback well received.
Your job application has been received, Andile, and we will get back to you in due course.
Don't call us. We will call you.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
And I know for you, Marissa, I mean, getting feedback from chefs is a very, very big part of the work that you do. So actually, it's been such a fantastic podcast to just being able to chat to you both about the work that you do, but also see where you can collaborate and connect.
Thank you both for joining us.
No, thanks, guys. Thanks, Steve, man. I was very nervous when I saw your podcast.
Oh, you watched a few episodes and you were like,
because
I'm going
to do homework.
This kitchen is not like the MasterChef kitchen. It's not hot.
Guys, thank you very much.
Marissa. And that's been What's the Difference, a Woolies podcast proudly brought to you by the rotisserie chickens available at Woolies. So keep buying them, keep enjoying them.
Keep buying them. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, please comment below. Let us know what cold seat questions you want. It helps us drive engagement, which is what Sibs and I are after all along. And yes, of course, you can find us wherever you find your podcasts, be it YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the other places where you may listen. Thanks for watching.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.